Joined now in our media center here at Talladega Superspeedway by Danica Patrick, driver of the number 7 GoDaddy.com Chevrolet. First, obviously, race at Talladega. First practice out there, P12, also 12th in the points. Coming in, I'm almost afraid to ask, how does it feel?
The beats, they're heavy, I tell you. I was already on Talladega Boulevard, and it took a lot to get these beads, if you can't tell. So I feel pretty proud of them. I'm going to wear them the whole time. Hope that's okay. Hopefully GoDaddy doesn't get too mad, but I think that more people will notice me today because of the beads. So I feel it is a positive ad.
How about the track time?
Oh, yeah, that. Good. I feel good here at Talladega. I mean, we went out there for practice. We were going to just do a couple of short little runs, make sure the travels were right, but it felt fine, so we stayed out for a long run at the beginning and ran in a pack a little bit, and then bump drafted with Dale Jr. Came in and got the travels just a little bit more perfect, and went back out and bump drafted with Cole. So things went good. I think the car feels really good. It's definitely going to be a challenge to keep it cool with 4 inches less of an opening to keep the engine cool. So you have to come out even further to show the grill. But I think it's going to be an interesting race, and being wider than Daytona, it's probably going to make it even more exciting. It's going to see a lot more moving around even. So if that's even possible coming from Daytona, but I felt good.
All right, questions for Danica, let us know. We've got the wireless mics, and we'll bring them to you if you'd give us your name and affiliation before you ask. Go ahead, Chuck.
Danica, Chuck Howard, NASCAR Media Group. A week of first for you here at Talladega. The next week, you've got a little monster called Darlington. Your thoughts on heading there and getting back in the Cup car, and what have you heard, and what have they been telling you about Darlington?
I'm told it's not going to be so much about the track and getting comfortable and being up to speed or feeling good. It's going to be more about learning how to pass there and how that works, because it's a one lane, it's one groove in 1 and 2. I think it's high in 1 and 2, low in 3 and 4. And so just going too wide in 1 and 2 is a detriment to, a second a lap if you do that. So just being smart about when you're supposed to let off and give the position up for the sake of overall time, and getting used to that's going to be the hardest thing. Other than that, I mean, it's a new track for me, so feeling out the rhythm of the race is going to be another challenge.
Nate Ryan, USA Day, straight ahead, Danica, right between.
Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, sorry.
I'm so sorry. I don't ever know where it's coming from.
It's all right. I can only imagine what it must be like up there,
so
especially
difficult.
with beads around your neck.
So difficult.
So Sunday, the number 10 car will be in the Cup race at Talladega, and it's inside the top 35, but this is a track where there's a huge potential for wrecks, and I think that if it were to wreck and some other cars do well, it could fall out of the top 35. Are you going to be focused a little bit more on that race because of that, given your situation going to Darlington and knowing that if it's outside the top 35, then obviously next weekend becomes a completely different animal for you?
No, I won't be more focused on the race because of the position that the car is in. The 10 car was staying in the top 35. I will be focused on it after the weekend, and we will address Darlington a little different if it is outside of the top 35, because we'll have to put a lot more focus on qualifying. And I don't remember who I heard it from, but a couple of days ago somebody said it's so amazing how much, it was Cole actually, Cole Witt said it's amazing how much time these Cup guys get out of their cars for qualifying, and Cole's pretty decent at qualifying. So I'm sure it would be a big challenge, but I'm prepared to do it if I have to do it. But at this point in time, there's no reason to think about it. It's not going to help me. It's not going to help them. I'm still confident they're going to be just fine, and especially knowing where you're at and what you need to do at a place like this with a big track. There's cars that want to win the race that decide to lag back. So, I'm sure that they are going to have their own plan going into the race, and, there's going to be big accidents, and it's going to be just a matter of staying away from them. So I'm sure as long as they get past the start and the restarts, obviously, then, it's just going to be a matter of keeping your distance or leading and winning the race and staying all out of the way. I don't know, but I have a feeling they'll be just fine. But with a place like Talladega, as you pointed out, anything can happen.
Do you watch the race? Do you watch the races? You're not in those races?
I do. I watch as many races as I can. Sometimes I have things that I have to do and commitments, but I watch as many of those Cup races as I can, as it's good to pick up things that I see for the future. And it's exciting.
Hey, Ryan McGee with ESPN. How you doing? The going into Talladega, really maybe the last NASCAR track you haven't been to yet. Some places kind of have an aura about it. Did you feel that coming in today? I mean, beads aside, coming into a big place like this, sitting out in the middle of nowhere?
No, beads on, beads up front. This is what makes Talladega special. It makes it exciting. And when I talked about coming to Talladega, it was, it's just as much of an excitement level for me to see the fans and get a feel for the atmosphere as it is for driving the car. The driving around Talladega is much like Daytona, so I've felt something similar, at least from what I expect it to be like anyway. And so, but the atmosphere is something really unique. So it's definitely one of those tracks that I was looking forward to coming to for more reasons than just racing. But I think that it's going to be fun. Like I said, I've already got my beads, so what next? More beads?
Right here, Danica. Jeff Owen, Sporting News. You ran really well at Daytona, and you got in a couple of wrecks that were not of your doing. Things can be even wilder here. Is there any apprehension on your part knowing that it's even wilder here than it is at Daytona?
No apprehension. Probably just there's nothing else to think about, to be honest. I mean, it was very chaotic in the nationwide race before I went out of it and wasn't in the mix again. It was, just find a hole and take it, and the bump draft was creating some really interesting situations. So, and with being here at Talladega with more room, as we were told in our rookie meeting, you're going to be 4 wide a lot, and there's going to be a couple times you might be 5 wide. So, actually, I think it was probably 5 wide. So that's just, there's just more room. Trust me, we were filling the track at Daytona, and we'll fill the track here.
Viv, I'm sorry, Viv Bernstein, NASCAR.com. I want to ask, in terms of your own confidence, given what happened at Daytona, I know it wasn't your fault, but you never got to really run much. Do you feel like this race and Darlington, these are 2 races where you need to sort of have a good performance, or in terms of just erasing what happened?
No, I don't see why these are separate from any other one I participate in a different way. They're 2 completely different tracks as well, so it's not like for me, it's not about wrapping my head around what happened in the past. It's about what happens next and how am I going to be, what did I learn, and move on. It's really easy with this schedule to dwell on things and let one weekend affect the next, affect the next. So the hurdle is for me especially, because I get so wrapped up in the results, is to disconnect from what just happened and move on and look at it as a positive that you get another week, you get a race the next weekend to go and make it right if you didn't feel like it was right the previous one. And so I don't feel like I have to do anything. My goal is just to run competitively and see what happens.
Jenna Fryer, AP, in the same circle, little gap. Do you like Daytona and Talladega, this style of racing? And now that you've sort of been to everything, what are you finding, what sort of tracks are you finding that you like the best?
I suppose, in answering your first question, do I like Daytona and Talladega type of racing? I do. I really do. It reminds me a lot of IndyCar racing because you're flat out, you're looking for air, you're just trying to stay with the pack, and you're trying to weave your way through. It's, like I described it in IndyCar, it's a high-speed chess match. So I'm used to it. I like it. It's not about speed. It's just about the style. And for me, though, outside of that, I feel like the 1.5 miles are probably my favorite, just because I feel like more happens. There's it's a little more in your control, where at these kinds of places, it's a little out of your control, and it's difficult to avoid big accidents at times. So I prefer the 1.5 miles, I suppose, at this point. I prefer the really high banked, high grip 1.5 miles have been my favorite so far. But then again, they've been the ones that I've done the best. So that tends to happen, I suppose.
Also, those are fast and open.
Yeah, that's true. They're fast. You're not flat out necessarily, but I feel like it's another connection to what I'm used to about loading the car up in the corner and feeling that load and feeling the grip. you know, as I continue on with this process, I'll just continue to get more and more comfortable when the track flattens off and when the grip level goes down, and grip level and banking both affect that. So, and to be honest, I thought last weekend Richmond was a good step in the right direction until the race. We ran top 10 in practice. That was by far the best we've run in practice on a short track. Had our best qualifying on a short track. Is just a disappointing race. Unfortunately, with these cars, you go into the race and you have the same car that you had in practice, and it doesn't always feel the same. But then again, sometimes it feels even better when you don't do much. So, that was just the way that it went. But it was a step in the right direction.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. You've gained a lot of support in the Garage Nationwide Series, talking about gaining drafting partners and how you think people feel. How many drafting partners you think you have out there?
That's true. To be honest, I actually felt pretty good that Junior was wanting to know when I was coming back out of the garage, and that he wanted to run and bump draft with me at the beginning. So that was kind of a good feeling for me. I feel like we haven't really made big efforts to try and find each other. So if we're together, we do it. But the fact that he asked where I was and if I was coming back out was a nice feeling. But I'm feeling more and more comfortable all the time. I think that the more familiarity the drivers have with me, the more I'm going to feel that. I just wasn't around all the time, and you know, being new at it, I have the same apprehension with people that haven't done it yet compared to me. So I can understand their feeling, and the more I do it, the easier that's going to be.
Let's go to Bob.
Bob Hocker, Sporting News, right here in the middle.
By the way, thank you for letting me know when sundown was going to be yesterday at 7:29, because that's what it indicated me that practice was going to have to be over by then. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I read your tweets. I'm just saying.
Joanna Long was in here earlier, and I was curious, how do you know her at all? And also, there's this strange dynamic where the people who dislike you are rooting for her just because they dislike you. So how do you feel about the fact that you contribute to her fan base just by being out here?
I didn't know that, but I suppose that's one of those dynamics that happens. I don't know her. I do know that she's young. I don't know what she has done before this. But she's done a really good job, I think. She did a really good job last weekend at Richmond. She's definitely shows some speed at times, and I don't know exactly what their test plan is in practice before they go out to qualify, but she has a lot of strong qualifying runs. I'm not sure if bigger tracks are things that she's used to running on, but she seemed to show better at a short track, so maybe that's kind of more where she came from. But so that's it. That's about all I know. But she's doing a great job. She's a really young girl, and she just needs to keep at it.
Other questions for Danica? All right. Thanks.
No,
to
you can't have my beads.